Hello friends, it's Mrs. Echeverrio with another multiplication video. Today I'm going to talk about multiplying by different factors. Let's first have a look at zero facts. The zero property of multiplication says that the product of any number and zero is zero. And if you can remind yourself continually over and over that this symbol, the multiplication X, stands for the words groups of. Well, 0 groups of 3 is 0 because there are no groups of 3. 0 groups of 3 equals 0. This tells me 5 groups of 0. 5 groups, I could draw 5 loops, but they're all empty. There's nothing in the 5 groups. So 5 groups of 0 equals 0. So that's an easy way to hopefully help you remember that anytime 0 is one of the factors, the answer or product will always be 0. Moving on to the ones facts. The identity property of multiplication says that the product of any number multiplied by 1 is that number. So looking at the example on the left, 1 group of 6 equals 6. If I have one circle with 6 dots inside, that's 6. The second example, 8 groups of 1. If I make 8 circles and put 1 dot inside each, I have 8 circles with 1 in each. That would be 8. 8 times 1 equals 8. Another way to think of this, anytime you multiply by 1, the answer is always the other factor. So if I were doing 27 times 1, the answer is 27. If I'm doing 1 times 10, the answer is 10. Next, we might logically move on to our doubles facts, or multiplying by 2. To multiply any number by 2, you double it. Lots of third graders sometimes ask, what does the word double mean? Double means add the number to itself. So if you think back to second grade, when you learned your doubles addition facts, you were doing things like 7 plus 7 equals 14, or 9 plus 9 equals 18. That is the idea or the premise behind doubles facts. We're multiplying by 2. We're doubling it. So this one represents 2 groups of 7. I see 2 rows of 7, which tells me in my brain 2 groups of 7. That would be 7 plus 7, or 14. This example, I have 9 groups of 2. 9 rows of 2. We're looking at it this way. 9 rows of 2 each. So 9 rows of 2 is 18. But you could turn this around and think of it as 2 times 9. There's 2 columns with 9 in each column. There's a column of 9. There's a column of 9. 2 times 9, 9 plus 9 is 18. I'm going to jump over to the tens facts. This is a favorite of many young students. To multiply any number by 10, think of the number that is equal to that many tens. 10 times 4. I'm thinking in my brain, that means 4 tens. 4 tens, 10, 20, 30, 40. 7 times 10, I'm thinking in my brain, I have 7 groups of 10. 7 groups of 10, I can count it out. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And I was using my fingers. I was counting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. 7 times 10 is 70, or 10 times 4 is 40. Another trick that lots of kids think about, like to use with the tens, they write the other factor, not the 10, the other factor. So in this example, 10 times 4, I write this factor 4, and I simply add a 0. It means that I have 4 tens, which is 40. In this example, my answer will be the other factor, not the 10, this number. I write it in my answer in my product over here, and I just add a 0 for 70. Now we'll go back and look at half 10 facts, which is times 5. To multiply any number times 5, you can first multiply it by 10 and then just divide the result in half. So for instance, if I wanted to know 5 times 6, I could first say, well, I know 10 times 6 is 60, right over here, but then take half of that, which is 30. That's one strategy. However, personally, I think it's just easier to count by 5s on your fingers. It's up to you, whichever strategy you like. For me, I think it's more efficient just to count by 5s. So if it was 5 times 6, that's the same as 6 times 5. I can flip it around. 6 times 5 would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. All right, I hope that was helpful.